Welcome to Bob Talk.
Hey,
Hello, hello. Pastor Aubrey, Pastor Melanie, how are you guys doing today?
We're doing well.
I'm
Had a
fantastic.
full day already. Melanie,
Good.
wait a minute. Melanie is cheesing all over the place. So what's going on, Melanie? Tell us what's happening.
Yes, I I am doing well. I am doing things that I am learning, and I am just in a good spot. Just really in a good spot right now, and doing things I really enjoy doing, and hanging out with the people I enjoy hanging out with. So I'm in a good spot.
Oh, good, good. And
Um,
Sister Katrina,
I'm doing well. I am back safe in a safe zone. No, really, I'm back home from Texas. We went to Texas over the weekend, and I said safe zone because we encountered some snow there, and I don't like snow, so yeah. Yeah, if anyone were to ask me, well, people always say, well, you have to deal with heat. I was like, we have a cure for that. It's called air conditioning. And if that's the worst thing that I have to contend with as it relates to weather, Arizona is the place. What is it? Arizona is the place you want to be. So,
right.
Mhm.
and how about you, Pastor Aubrey?
I am doing well. I'm excited about a lot of things. There's a lot of technology that we are embarking on. I'm learning how to do more delegation, so I'm excited about that. So I'm learning a couple of things. I was reading the other day, and it talked about burnout, and one of the reasons, and went with Jethro, who Moses's father-in-law, and what he identified, he said burnout, in the meditation, said burnout is the result of trying to take on too much, and that you needed to learn to do delegation and identifying what I can delegate, and what I can actually be responsible for, and distinguishing the two. And so I'm renewed, refreshed as I think about that, and be able to identify that there's just some things I can't, I can't do.
Mm.
Yeah.
How does that feel to be in that space?
It's good. I think it's sort of fall in line with the power of vision, is having clarity, as to what I'm really equipped to do, what I am able to do, and because you get pulled in so many different directions, um, and all at the same time. So something's got to give. So yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. I think one of the things that I learned as it relates to that is oftentimes it's not me being pulled in those different directions, but it's me feeling like I not trusting the people like around me to do the things that they're capable of doing,
right,
right? And so you end up taking on so much more than you should have because it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to
right,
be your way even. You
no,
have the vision, and then you trust the people who are on your team to carry out that vision, and that's what we're supposed to be able to do.
right.
So,
But I think that's one of what the scripture identifies is write the vision, make it plain, so that those who run with it are able to have a plan. And without a vision, people operate without constraints. So we all need vision, to help us to operate within our realm of responsibilities and skills. So, yeah, good. So let's jump into our discussion for today. Again, we are coming from The Principles and Power of Vision by Miles Monroe. We are still discussing chapter 2. On last week, I believe we left you with a question, and the question was, what is your heart's desire? What is your deepest heart's desire? Because identify that vision is as close as your deepest desire. So we asked you last week if you could articulate what your desire is. If you would put those in the comments, that would be great. Identifying what your deepest desires are. So the three of us, I guess we can sort of kick it off. Katrina, you want to start?
Yes, absolutely. So I was able to identify I have a desire to help, right? I have a desire to help people live transformed lives. And that's one of the things that I know that I am capable of doing, whether it's in seeing marriages thrive, whether it's seeing children who don't ask to be in certain situations know that they don't have to allow their experiences to determine their future outcome. And so I think that's why I love trauma as well, because individuals who have experienced trauma, my deepest desire is to see them overcome and to thrive outside of all of that. So I know
that's good.
Yeah. How about
Pastor Mel?
My deepest desire is for people to walk in their purpose. I believe that people have a purpose. I believe that people are gifted and people are unique and special. And I really, really desire for people to walk in their purpose. And oftentimes there are roadblocks or trauma or things that prevent people from walking in their purpose. So the other part to my deepest desire is to help people to get over those blocks that prevent them from walking in that purpose, whether that, whatever that purpose is to be able to um, write the vision. And that is one of my theme scriptures for my life, is the write the vision, make it plain. And I am called to the make it plain of writing the vision.
And that's been there for a long time, right? Yeah,
That
I've heard that.
has.
Pastor Aubrey, your
So,
turn.
so I'm going to give mine, but I'm not seeing any comments. So I'm looking for those who are listening to. We want to see your comments. What are your desires? This is a conversation that we want everyone to be a part of. So what is your deepest desire? As I thought about it, specifically when we look at what Miles Monroe talks about vision, and one of the things that it was not, my vision was not all, it has not always been clear. So I wanted to walk through that. So I knew I knew early on that that ministry was part of what I was to do. I didn't know how. I knew that I love teaching. I just thrived at that. I started teaching at about 12. And I remember just finding such joy and pleasure in doing that and teaching. But I didn't know where else that would go. I shrunk back from preaching. I didn't want to be no preacher, and I certainly didn't want to be a pastor. So I didn't see that as part of it. Of course, I knew, well, I did not know, but leadership was part of it. But as I walked through it, I remember in Chicago, I was at one of those breaking points where it was called, I call it the confusing in between, the not yet. And I was trying to figure out, and I said, this is the only thing I knew. My desire was to help people. The job I was in, they laid me off, and I was like, I knew I wasn't going to be here long anyway, because this is not helping people. this is work, and I'm not being fulfilled by doing this. I want to help people. I want to see people thrive. I want to see people develop and grow and mature. And so I realized that the position was not fulfilling what was at my heart's desire. Did I have a complete vision for what that looked like? No. But I know that God opened doors and provided everything that I needed, and I did not always recognize the work He was doing in me. And that there were some things being shared, there were some insights that I was receiving, so some revelation. And so I think as you think about your heart's desire, it may not be completely clear as to how you're going to fulfill it, but it's important to know that it's there. And I still don't see
Yes.
anybody's comments. I'm trying to figure out what that is. Don't make me call y'all out.
I almost started to, right? But I think in this, one of the things that we can identify, Pastor, and you identify too, it takes a while for things to become clear, right? We may not, and what we may not see it as clear, but through this process, I think we want everyone to get to a place to where your vision does become clear. And it's always been there, right? Because that's one of the things he states in this book. You already know your vision, but sometimes it's not clear. And I think one of the things one of the things that it's important to understand is sometimes it is clear, but there are things that hold us back from communicating the clarity, whether it be fear of failure, right? Fear of maybe it's not going to work out, or like some of the mistakes that we might make in announcing that call, but it's there.
One of the things he identifies.
And then sometimes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And the other point to that is because it's natural. It's something that you naturally do. You may not recognize it as, okay, this is a desire, or this is, some people like naturally help people, and it's so you don't see it as something that may be looked at as a vision, or because it's something that comes to you. However, not everyone loves to help in that way. Not everyone loves to take care. You can see kids at a young age, and they're always, can I help? Can I help? And it looks like, it may appear that is something that's not a desire. However, something that comes naturally could just be a desire that you don't recognize as part of a vision.
I think the other thing that can cloud that is sometimes you think you have to be trained for it.
Yeah.
So like, I'm gonna have to go to school, I'm gonna have to get this, I'm gonna have to do that. And that but the going to school part of it is there's a reason, there's a desire that's even behind going to school. So because there are folks, you try to send them the stuff and they're like, I'm not going there because I don't have any desire for the outcome, for the end result. And so it says I need to really look at what is my desire, what's at the root of it, and how is this helping me to fulfill that desire. He talks about it's not just mere interest. So I think that as we think about it's not just I have an interest, which speaks to a deeper depth of this is, and the word he used is that it persists against all odds.
And as we identify that, when it says 11's vision will persist against all odds, I think I would like to even point out, because Stephanie, she posted hers, right? And she said, my desire is working and helping with young girls in the foster care that went through the same experience that I went through. And when you look at hers, and then what 11 says, vision will persist against all odds. What she says is I overcame, right? Some things, regardless of what was thrown at me, I overcame. And so now I think I feel I'm called and I have a desire to go back and help someone else who's experienced what I experienced. And I do know that a lot of a lot of times, even working in this field, the desire comes from that place, those personal experiences that you overcame against all odds. You said, "Here I am, I'm surviving." And so I believe that you too can survive,
Yeah.
right?
And I think, as I think about my daughter, Stephanie, 'cause that's my baby girl. But as I think about her life and I think about some of the things she went through, it was even before she had went through that she had that. She had that ability to connect with children. It's always been in there. She's always wanted to care for others. And so it's been there. That's her desire. And so it still manifests itself now. And that's at the heart of it. And as we think about, it's not just something that I like, but it's something that is a thread through everything that I do.
So
Right.
as it relates to even that though, I remember being 13 and saying, I am never going into this field. I had an opportunity to volunteer at the age of 13 at the VA hospital because my grandfather was a counselor, right? A social worker. And then he has his PhD in this field. And so I stayed with him one summer and I was like, after leaving there, I was like, I'm not doing that. I am not going into this field. No way, never, no how. And then I found myself always being a person that people came to for advice. And I was like, I'm going to mess somebody up. And so my desire to not mess anybody up is actually what led me back to school to get into this field. So I simply had a desire to help and do it without injuring someone. So I felt like maybe I need to learn how to do it right so I don't cause anybody to jump off a cliff.
And we've talked, and especially as we're talking about even our careers. But vision is not just necessarily about your career, because sometimes you can be in a position and it is just designed to fund your vision.
Yeah.
So the job that you have is not, that's not, has really nothing to do with your vision, but it funds your vision. It puts the weight on it to be able to fulfill that. And thinking in terms of that, again, it has to go back to what's my desire, and is this helping me to fulfill that desire?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because
And for me, when I look at the underlying, like my underlying desire is for people to fulfill their purpose. And I also been wanting to do like professional websites and wanting to learn how to start nonprofits. And that just keeps popping up, professional websites, nonprofit, professional website, nonprofit. And now that I'm operating in a space to where it's like my underlying purpose is still to help people fulfill that purpose. However, it is a different manner in which I help people fulfill that purpose, whether that is their purpose in starting a business, or their purpose in, starting a church, their purpose in whatever it is. It's still that underlying desire or purpose of helping people fulfill their purpose. However, it is fulfilling their purpose in different areas. And so it keeps coming back to, it's like, why am I determined to help people do websites? Why am I determined to help start nonprofits? And as I'm going through this leadership program, it's like, oh, now I see that. it, however, that underlying like burning desire, okay, these are two things that I really want to learn. And I'm in the process of doing that. So the underlying purpose is still helping people fulfill their purpose.
That's good. The number 10 talks about, no, it's not number 12, that vision is unselfish. Vision is unselfish. One of the things I want those who are listening, because we've asked you to, to identify what your deepest desires are. I was reminded of what Scripture says is that the power of life and death is in your tongue, in your ability, and writing it is a form of accountability. Actually putting it out there, it's sort of that once I put it out there that this is my deepest desire, I can own it. But not only do I own it, but I'm also then identifying and affirming that um, what I have, what I've been given, this desire is really a desire, and committing to it. My mother used to say that people would take positions, but they would never actually own the position. So they carried the title, but they never actually fulfilled the vision. And I think it's important to be able to do that, um, and embrace that I'm going to own this desire.
Yeah.
And that takes it, and so in doing that, it's not selfish.
In the
Mm-hmm.
church, I think we have to make sure that we clarify that, right? Because I think sometimes we look at owning the title and owning that, like we look at it as selfishly motivated or wanting to be seen, or and sometimes when there's pay associated with it, right, it makes it hard for us to be able to fully embrace that. But there's nothing wrong with that, right? There is nothing. I think, Hester, we talked about, like, not Melanie, you said you identified a passion for nonprofits, and we've talked about that. There's still money in that, and when we look at God's principles, it's okay that your vision is associated with making money too,
Right,
right? Because the truth of the matter is, how can you really fund it
right. Well,
if it's not?
I learned a while back that nonprofit is a tax statement. Has nothing to do, because no business can remain in business without a profit.
Yeah,
So
correct.
you have to make money. And so, and I've been preaching that
Mm-hmm.
wherever I go, is that you can't feel guilty for making money for with a nonprofit. It's sort of and I use this analogy: if you are a nonprofit who gives out food, basically is providing food. If you don't have a profit, you'll be standing in the line that you're trying to give out food because you don't have anything to give. And so you have to identify, so how is this funded? And so and then identifying what do we do with the profit. And that's the piece, is that it says that I reinvest it, or whatever the case is, but I still have to live. I still have to provide for my family and myself. And so that's important as well. And I think that goes back to even the statement, is it that it's not selfish for me to take a salary.
Right.
It's not
Mm-hmm.
selfish for me to take care of me. And so vision, again, helping people, but also recognizing that in helping people, I need something to help me, right? So
Right.
it's not selfish. It says, so I'm doing some things to help me, so what, I can help someone else.
Absolutely. I think growing up in the church, right, that becomes part of your trauma, right? It's that associated trauma with passing around the collection plate. And so,
Yeah,
so we associate that with so much that we struggle with walking into and stepping into our God called purpose, our God fulfilling the vision that He's given us, because of those trauma blocks And then Melanie, again, it goes back to like, some of the things that we're working on and you desire even to do as it relates to your call, those blocks so that we can fully embrace the vision that God has given us, knowing that it's unselfish. It's
Yeah.
it's a mandated call, even, right? So
It
Right.
as I thought, Melanie was sharing with me experience she had yesterday with selling buttons. But what came to mind was many times, in order for us to like fulfill our vision, we're asked to do things like asked to give, to solicit giving, and even to sell some things. And there's some of us who are refraining from doing that. And it was funny because my mother, 'cause I was talking to some other pastors, and they said the part of our job, the part of our responsibility that is the most difficult, and we really don't like doing it, is asking for money, asking for money. But I'm not really asking for money for myself. And my mother sort of told me, she said, if I was asking for myself, I wouldn't ask you. Right? I just go ahead, but I'm not asking for myself. I'm asking for someone else. And so when you realize, even in doing that, it can be challenging, because that's how can I fulfill my vision if I don't have the resources? So I have to ask. Realizing that my vision is passionate, and it's not selfish. It's not about me. I'm not trying to build a congregation or a group of people for me. But I'm doing it to help others, and that can be somewhat challenging. I don't know if you want to share something in regards to that, Mel, your experience
Yes.
with the button.
So one of the things that I am working myself out of having a scarcity mindset. And so last night, the leadership group that I am in, we were tasked to sell buttons for 2 hours. And so they were like, just get your phone out and just start calling people and ask them if they want to, purchase these buttons. And it was like a fun game. And I was like, we have 100 buttons for $100. And then one person said, well, I don't need that many buttons. I said, well, you can get one button for $100. And the person was like, okay. And I'm thinking, okay, so hours, I made $200. And basically, the instructor was saying, now you just made $200 for me. And if you're not making it for yourself, you're making it for someone else. Either way it go, you're gonna make $200 or whatever the amount is. And that is also helped me get out of my scarcity mentality. Because there were some people that I asked, I was like, they don't have any money. And they were the main people saying, oh, okay, I'll buy 2 buttons. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness. And we don't give people an opportunity to give because we assume that they don't have. And at the other point, it's like, I believe that it is the enemy's trap to keep us broke. And it's like, no, the money is out there, and we have to fund the vision and purpose that God has for us. And it becomes frustrating to me. It's like, I want to be able to give to people. However, if I don't have the finances to give, if I don't have the finance to help the poor, if I don't have the finances or the resources to create the curriculum that I want to help people get out of their bondage, to me, that is just like, no, I'm getting past that scarcity mentality. We have enough people to do the work. We have enough money. We have enough resources. We have enough intellect to get done what God wants for us to do.
That's good. I love it.
absolutely. When I look at the Stephanie and Jonathan, they both posted right their desire. And with both of their desires, right, a vision to make an impact on the world, is what Jonathan said. With both of those, you can't do it without money. right? We
Mhm.
can't go
Yeah.
back and we can't have an impact without being able to do what you stated, Melanie, what you're learning in your leadership. We can't do it. She can't go back and help these young foster girls in the system if she doesn't have the ability to meet a need that they have, because that's really what we're doing, right? We're learning to meet. We're not learning, we're meeting needs. And so I think that puts a huge emphasis on the part that on number 12 when he says vision is unselfish.
Well, we are at our 30 minutes, and so I wanted to try to get to the next one, and we'll talk about it next week. And that is, vision is the only thing that will bring you fulfillment. Vision is the only thing that will bring you fulfillment. I want you to process that, think about it, come back next week, and we're going to talk about, is that true or false? Is that true or false? Vision is the only thing that will bring you fulfillment. What's your vision? You don't have a vision, then are you fulfilled? So that's next week. Anything else? Any closing remarks?
No, but that's just something that we want them to definitely begin to process. Is that true? What are your thoughts? You guys come back ready to join us and communicate and have conversation with us. So we look forward to hearing from you.
Yes. And let me pray. God, we
And
thank
invite
you.
others.
Yes, please do. Like and share, like and share. God, we thank you and we praise you for the opportunity you give us to gather here. Thank you for this technology that allows us to reach across many places and many cities and even across the country, even across the world. And God, we pray now that as we share from this text, God, we ask that you would touch the hearts of those who listen. Father, there's someone who